Of peace and goodness to you, my friends. They knew him growing up. They knew his family. They had him figured out. So where did he get off teaching them in the synagogue? Who did he think he was? Jesus was someone they had put in a box. That's where he was in their eyes. He was in a familiar place. Familiar because being in a box and putting others in a box is a human inclination, a human impulse, a human habit. Think of yourselves. We all conform to what others have decided who we should be. Have you ever noticed how we talk differently with different groups who have different boxes for us? We may use some salty or off-color language with some of our friends or buddies that we would never use at home or talking to me. We may do some things totally out of character with one group, but totally in character with another. The fact is that we are always more than who people think we are. People are always more than what we think. You may never know that I struggle with doubts about faith, health, some friends, depression, anxiety. You may never know what I give quietly to charity, or I may never know that every day you take care of an elderly parent and clean their house and do their laundry and go shopping for them and get their groceries. You may never know my dreams and desires and weaknesses and strengths, nor I yours. The point is that we are indeed more than what people think we are. And sometimes glimmers or flashes of it break out. Sometimes some strikingly boorish or heroic deed pops up out to challenge others' assessment of us. And they exclaim, "We never knew you had it in you." And likewise, a similar situation, we say of them, "We never knew they had it in them." And this is what was happening to Jesus. Anyway, the truth is that people are always more than what we think, and therefore we must always grant them the ability to rise above to that extra dimension of being, and we must never lock anyone in a box. And conversely, the opposite is true. No one should lock us in a box either. Popular fiction is full of box breaking precisely because it caters to our secret desire to be more than what people think of us. It caters to our dreams of moving away and getting a new start and a new identity where we can be true to our real selves. So Clark Kent, boxed by everyone as the mild-mannered reporter, breaks free and literally soars. No one in the world thinks that Wart, the pint-sized squire, has it in him to be King Arthur, nor dirty Cinderella to be a shining princess. Fictional characters, to be sure. But reality tops fiction. No one would have tapped Agnes Baxiou, of Albanian descent, to become a sister of Loreto, and to leave that order after 17 years to devote herself to the poor of Calcutta and found the missionaries of charity and earned the Nobel Peace Prize ultimately to be known as Mother Teresa. Or for that matter, Josephine Bakhita, who was born in 1869 in a small village in the Darfur region of Sudan. She was kidnapped while working in the fields with her family and subsequently sold into slavery. After being sold some 5 times, Bakhita was purchased by an Italian consul in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. He in turn sent her to accompany his daughter to a school in Venice. And she remained in Italy to enter the Cassanoans in 1893 and made her profession in 1896. She was known for her smile, gentleness, and holiness. She even went on record as saying, "If I were to meet the slave traders who kidnapped me, even those who tortured me, I would kneel down and kiss their hands. For if that did not happen, I would not be a Christian and a religious today." So Josephine was beatified in 1992 and canonized shortly thereafter by Pope John Paul II. She's the first person to be canonized from Sudan and is the patron saint of the country. So from slavery to sainthood. Who would have thought? Yet this is precisely the belief of the gospel. We are more than what we show. This is precisely the call of the gospel, to become more than people think us to be, but to be exactly what God thinks and God sees us to be, which is usually quite different from what others may see us, and a real life offers us some examples. Thomas à Becket, who was a carousing, drinking buddy of King Henry, but when he became Archbishop of Canterbury, he wound up defending the church against Henry and gave his life for it. Stunned, Henry never thought he had it in him. T.S. Eliot wrote a play, Murder in the Cathedral, about him. Who would have thought that a rich, popular, spoiled, dissolute kid named Giovanni Bernardone, recognize that name? Giovanni Bernardone? Sure you do. He was running with his rat pack, and a voice said to him, "Serve the master, not the man." A dream that slowly got him and made his old life of partying less and less attractive, until one day, breaking out of his playboy image, he got off his horse and kissed a leopard, and then he went home, rejected his inheritance, and walked away forever from riches to become Francis of Assisi, and shocked his friends as well as his family. They never thought he had it in him. Unlettered, uneducated Bernadette held fast to the vision of the Lady of Lourdes and withstood ridicule and persecution from the high and the mighty. Everyone thought she would fold. Nobody ever thought she had it in her to be so steadfast. And what about that gaunt woman in the photograph wearing cheap, dark wool cap over her white hair, her hands thrust into the pockets of an old tweed overcoat covering her drab dress? A rebel who had an affair and an abortion as well as a child out of wedlock. She was boxed forever as a loser until she met Christ. She became a Catholic and succumbed to a lifelong affair with the poor and the downtrodden, and as a result was shot at, investigated by the FBI, imprisoned for her participation in the United Farm Workers Rally, supporting the rights of migrant farmers. She co-founded the Catholic Worker, the newspaper on many houses of hospitality for the poor, and is currently being promoted for canonization. Who would have thought of this woman from Brooklyn, Dorothy Day, would have ever done such things? The list is endless, and I could go on all day, and please, I know what you're thinking. I won't. The point is, are we prepared that someone among us, someone maybe right here, this moment, in this crowd, in this gathering, will be a saint of God? Why not? Is it because we know them too well? Is it because we got their number? We got them pegged? And that's exactly what the gospel is saying. Jesus could work no miracles because they would not even be open to him. Of Jesus, they said, where did he get all this? We thought we knew him. We had him in a proper box. But like all of us, he was more than what they thought. And so we must liberate this deep truth within ourselves as well as within others, never forgetting that within each of us is an authentic call to holiness and quiet heroism. We all have it in us, every one of us. One of these days, we have to walk away, if we haven't already done so. We have to walk away from the routine sins, the worship of consumerism and celebrity, the indifferent life, and our gray, lackluster spiritual existence. We have to answer that call to embrace in a very public way the truism that we really do not live by bread alone. They were called to live beyond the box, outside of the box, to do the unexpected, the heroic deed, to take on the unpopular stance and express the high and lofty values of faith. And above all, to allow others to do the same. The gospel message reminds us that we are always more than what people think we are. We are, in fact, or should become, in fact, exactly what God thinks of us or calls us to be. And what does God think? That we, along with everyone else, are treasured, that we have dignity, and we are abundantly and unconditionally loved. That is a given. We, on our part now, have come to realize and discover that what is necessary to take those steps to let God's assessment of us be manifest to the world. And if it causes our family and friends to wonder, well, so much the better. May the Lord grant you peace in ways that the world cannot.